Call the March 3rd, 2022 meeting of the Ogden Town Board to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd ask that you remain standing for a moment of silent reflection and prayer for our military servicemen and women serving around the world, as well as for our first responders. Thank you. Okay, welcome everybody. I'd like to start with the approval of the minutes, resolution 123. So moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. All right, yes, we have a light crew tonight, so we'll be just basically going back and forth with our motions here. But I would like to move to privilege of the floor. Is anyone here that wishes to address the town board at this time? Seeing none, we will move on. I will actually put this next item under correspondences received and filed and sort of mix it in with my supervisor's report. We got a letter from a representative of the Kiwanis Club. They are looking to use essentially part of our campus for their Spencerburg Kiwanis Scavenger Hunt Road Rally 2022. And in the past, they've used the parking lot. Dan has allowed them to use some of the facilities. Is that right, Dan? Yes. Just to use bathrooms, but this is a fundraiser, you know, for organizations like Camp Abilities, Hope Hall, Ronald McDonald House, Ray of Light, and many, many more. Last year, they raised $5,500, and they're really just asking for permission to do the same and just use the facility. This isn't really a votable action, but I just wanted to hear if anybody had any thoughts, positive or negative. No objections from me. Sounds like a good idea. Very good. Thank you, Dan. Okay, very good. Then we will move on officially to reports from town officers. I've got a couple of things here that I'd like to go through. First, I'd like to point out that the board has the highway, police, and financial reports that were part of the packet today. These are all kind of year-end reviews. Yes, Dan, we're very impressed. I know that the police department does post this on their webpage. I'm sure the others will be there as well, accessible to the public. But this was kind of the opportunity for the board to just kind of get a firsthand look at the great work that's being done in these departments. And I mean, they are good. I mean, I joke with Dan, but I mean, the detailing here is great. I mean, I love seeing mission statements, goals for the years, accomplishments, and that's the board has done a good job supporting in the past, and certainly our people do a great job with the work that's in front of them. The next thing, I had the opportunity to sit down with supervisor in Parma, Jim Roos, and he and I met with our RG&E liaison, which turns out we have an RG&E liaison, which is great. And basically what she was telling us is that over the next little bit, probably starting in August, they're going to start installing these smart meters. And the smart meters are a way for basically the energy meters to be read remotely instead of people going house to house, door to door, checking on these meters. It's just really a little attachment that goes on to the meter already, and it goes and it takes your reading for you. There's some complications. There's older homes that have the meters inside, and so they'd have to get permission to go inside. But this is kind of something that's going to be rolled out, and it'll take a while for it to happen. They're going to start educating the public. They're going to hold some open houses, open forums, so that people aren't alarmed when someone randomly knocks on their door. I mean, it's a pretty huge undertaking, and they're doing this all throughout Monroe County, and probably in other counties as well. But that's kind of their new initiative.
Just let you know, the village has already done that.
Yep.
The village has the meters already, and they use those meters.
Yeah, and what they were saying is that, you know, obviously the village would have a specific meter for electric, and anybody that's got heat pumps would go towards that. But if they have gas heat, and that's through RG&E, so they could actually have to sub out two different devices. They did actually say that anything that was fully electric, that they think they would have to swap out the meter. Whereas if it's the gas meter already, they just have to put that little attachment on. But I'm sure we're going to get a lot more info. I just know that as our residents start wondering who these people are walking around their households, that they'll have questions, and it's good for the board to know that. I want to actually, and this is going to be part of our work session today. You know, we've had discussions, and I know that our finance director, Tim Hungerford, really started this question probably a year ago with the department heads, just asking, like, what's your wish list for these ARPA funds? That's the American Rescue Plan Act funds. And we have roughly 800,000 that came in this year, another 800,000 coming in next year. And what we kind of have had conversations about is, you know, instead of kind of just piecemealing and saying, let's grab this item, let's grab this item. Oh, does this count? Okay, we'll look that up. I think it's important that we just kind of set up a committee that really studies how we want to spend the money. And, you know, because you're the only two board members, this can be one of you, so you guys can fight for who wants to head that up. But really, it's a committee that would end up being one of you, the finance director. You know, the way that this started, the way that they originally proposed this was really for a lot of highway functions. So I think it makes sense that Dan is part of it, and we can talk about that in work session. But essentially, I'd like to, at some point, walk away with, this is the direction that the board has, that we'd like to set aside some of the ARPA funding for this group of expenses, for this thing, for this thing. And then that way, it's not just kind of a piecemeal, throw it at the wall type deal. Tim's got a lot of, he's been studying this a lot. We'll actually get even more information after April 1st, which ironically is the first reporting. So we'll find out after the first reporting what we're allowed to spend the money on. But that's an important thing. So we're going to throw that into work session. Also in work session, we had the opportunity to meet with Mr. Hage and some developers on the property that is there on 259 and the on-ramp heading towards the town of Sweden from 531 there. Development kind of came to us maybe a couple months ago, and we just had another sit-down conversation. The reason I'm bringing it up now is because it brings up a larger conversation that needs to be had, and part of it needs to include our comprehensive plan, but it also is important that we take a look at what the previous board had set aside for future development and take a look at those maps, which is what will start that conversation. I also want to be careful how much we talk about as a 3-person board. Not that we can't, but I would like to get a full consensus at a future meeting. And this is another question that kind of came up. Oh, no, sorry, that's another work session. The village wrote us a letter thanking us for our contributions to the Music on the Canal concert series. Every year the town donates a small percentage of the fees that it costs to hold these events over the summer, and they wrote us a letter thanking us. So thank you all for your support in that, and I think a lot of residents really enjoy that concert series that goes on. And that is all I have for the supervisor's report. Councilman Baker is not here. Councilman Hinman.
Nothing to report.
Councilman Perry is not here. Councilman Thomas.
Just that I did meet for about a half an hour yesterday with the director of the library, John Cohen. Nothing serious, nothing really new, just talked over some of the same issues. He's got some space problems and things like that, that I know we have other activities going on that might help solve some of that.
Yep, and he was able to secure some of the staff that he was
Yes.
short as well.
And he
Which
has
is,
one, Caitlin, I think her name was, that's
Yeah.
leaving
Yeah.
one of the libraries.
yeah. Very good.
So I think he's doing interviews this week, going into Friday, and then a second round in 2 weeks, I think is what he's doing.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
Mr. Wolf, Highway Superintendent.
It's gonna be short, I promise.
It's all right.
We're starting our lawn digs tomorrow from the plowing of this winter. We'll have those started cleaned up. We're probably in 2 weeks, we'll be out doing roadside pickup again, every road in the town, state road, county road. We're still doing a lot of off-road drainage. We're getting ready for the superintendent show. That's the 27th, I think, 27th of this or next month. We're getting our spring project. We get the costs of all our spring projects. All the prices are coming in. We're gonna figure out what we're gonna do. We'll have our plan out to you probably within the next month or so. The sewer camera that we're purchasing that is on our tonight is for our sewers, our system, it's a unique way of doing underground work that we can't see, and doing it with the cameras. Gonna help out very much with crossover pipes and sewers and everything else. Let me see. We went to a meeting last week with the Village of Spencerport. We're gonna be putting a box culvert in the Village of Spencerport. The town of Ogden's gonna do it with the village. Basically, the town of Ogden's gonna do it. Box culvert, we're gonna do the park land on the south side of the canal that they purchased the village purchased property. We've met our salt agenda, our salt quantity for the year. And we're in now is, remember last year at budget time, we ordered 3 leaf machines. We're in the process of building those boxes right now. We've already picked up some county work. We're doing four parks this year. Some parks, paving and stuff. So that's some revenue that we'll be getting in. And that's it.
Very good. Thank you, Dan. Noel Burley, our town clerk.
Just busy, still collecting the 3rd installments. That's been kind of keeping us busy. As you're aware, Sarah has left us. Big hole in our office that we're still trying to fill. We haven't been having much luck, but we're working on it.
And then Mr. Schomer, town attorney.
Finished up actually last Friday, I think, with Dan Wolf, town engineer, and pretty much everybody over on Scenic Circle. There was an ongoing matter that before the planning board, and an amended map, and so everybody met in the field, and I think it was well worth it because we got probably 20 minutes of conversations, took care of 20 hours of discussion on a phone and email. So I think the homeowner is pleased. The town came out well. We had, and it's a good project. I sent to the supervisor today, the great state of New York has implemented a code enforcement and reporting local law requirement on all municipalities. And I found one of it's a never-ending local law, and what I found interesting is one of the major topics in the proposed local law is climatic and humidity concerns. And the only thing that triggered in my mind right away was the building collapse in Florida, where the salt water and the climate conditions caused a great deal of deterioration in the building. But it just imposes a great deal of record keeping and reporting at the local level, which, don't get me wrong, building and code enforcement is an important factor, needs to be addressed. Seems like a little bit of overkill, but we'll get it done. That's it.
Very good, thank you. All right, we will move on to new business. So Madam Clerk,
Sure. Resolution 124, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement with Aetna through the Flim-Hit Medicare Consortium for the purchase of Medicare supplement policies.
So moved. Second.
moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Is there any discussion on this item?
Just would like to know if there's any other expense to the town itself for this.
It is my belief that there is not. This is a supplemental plan that the retired individual may choose to pick up at their cost. Is that correct?
A partial cost. We still pay as we have in the past. Previously, it was through MVP. Now it's through Aetna because Aetna gave a better price. It's through the consortium, so the consortium comes up with that. So we're in a group with other towns. So that's why they went with Aetna this year, and we're already getting positive reviews on both customer service and the pricing.
And it's through the consortium Flim-Hit. It's a regional group that we get all of our health benefits through now.
Thank you.
Well, for our retirees anyway. Yep. We still have MVP for our.
Yes,
regular,
yeah. I meant Flim-Hit in general is the
gotcha.
consortium that we, yes, but yes, good designation. Any further discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 125, authorizing Supervisor Zale to execute park rental agreements with various youth group organizations for the use of the park facilities for the 2022 sports season.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Toms. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 126, reinstating Brian Thompson as a permanent competitive assistant building and plumbing inspector.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Before I open this up for questions, I just want to state that this is a procedural resolution. Mr. Thompson has been hired as our building inspector. The way that the civil service process works has kind of unfortunately only allowed us to reinstate him in this way and in the future consider for promotion back to building inspector simply because there has not been a civil service exam for building inspector. And so nothing changes with the work that he's going to do. It's just the process that we've discovered is the best way forward. Any further discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 127, accepting with regret the resignation of Enrique Gomez as a part-time police officer.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Toms. I'll just briefly state that Mr. Gomez was in charge of our DARE program at the school. Is there any discussion on this item? Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 128, accepting with regret the retirement of Lucia Pietro as the office clerk 3 in the Parks and Recreation Department.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion on this item? We're certainly sorry to see Lucia go, but we wish her well in retirement. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 129, appointing Ashley Goder to the full-time permanent position of office clerk 3 at the hourly rate of $18.57 effective April 4th, 2022.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 130, amending the town of Ogden's design criteria, renaming the town inspection fee, and collecting the town fee upon initiating the letter of credit or cash assurance.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Toms. I just want to interject here that this kind of almost does two things. It's following the process that's already been outlined in the design criteria for well over a decade that really just hasn't been followed. It does kind of clean up the issue of we say almost 90 bills that went out, and creating almost a pot of money to pay various fees that some come from the building department, some come from the highway department, some come from just different sources as it pertains to construction in the town. The other thing that it does, and that obviously there's a lot more to it, but that's the bare bones of it. You'll also notice in the memo that was written by Mr. Friel that he describes that this will be updated in the design criteria, but the highway department and the building department are actually going to go through that, and they're going to update all of it, which is a timely, I mean, it takes a lot of time to go through that, so we appreciate that they're going through to update it and make sure that everybody is in agreement as to roles and responsibilities. The other thing I have to just say, I've been signing quite a few letters of credit releases over the last couple of weeks because we've had a backlog that may or may not have been attended to in a timely fashion in the past, and switching the way that we do letters of credit. In the past, there were quite a few hurdles, but in the end, John Friel is the one that takes a look at letters of credit and decides whether that has been, the process has been done the right way. And letters of credit that specifically pertain to highway projects will be under the highway department, and the ones that pertain to the building department will stay with the building department. That's kind of the rough way of explaining it. Did I miss anything?
Nope, it's gonna make things a lot more simple.
Tim, did I miss anything?
No, I think you've got it. I think the only additional is the building office is going to start looking at the planning fees to try to get them up to, current standards also.
Yeah, and
As a long-term part of this.
with all due respect to previous positioning, we have a building in town that the engineering fee was something around $3,000, and comparable buildings in other towns would have been about 100,000. So
The most that is, though, with the buildings where we're charging $3,000 for the building permit, that doesn't even cover our building inspector going out to there several times to do the inspections.
Yeah.
I mean, we're basically in a negative by the time they went out and did all their inspections and stuff, so.
So we're trying to bring that back in line with where it should be. So, okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please. Last item.
Resolution 131, adjusting the town of Ogden budget and authorizing the purchase of a VC 500 wireless sewer camera and accessories from state bid contractor Joe Johnson Equipment for $85,070.
So moved. I'll second.
Moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion on this item?
We'll just mention that as Dan reviewed, this would be a very useful machine that we're going to use in the highway department. And it did qualify for the ARPA funds.
We believe that it will.
Yes. And be a great addition.
It will be.
Very good. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Motion for adjournment to work session.
So moved.
Second by Councilman Tom, Councilman Hinman seconds that. We will be moving to the back room for the work session. This is a public work session. If anyone would like to join